The 8th annual Women of the World Poetry Slam takes place in downtown venues March 18th through the 21st. The 3-day, 4-night festival has been in the making for a year now.
This includes 4 nights of competitive bouts and 3 days of more than 3 dozen events, more than half of which are free for the public.
Very
and joining
cool.
us now is Mercedes Holtry, the Albuquerque Women of the World champion and host city representative. You're the Women of the World champion of Albuquerque. Is that right?
Yes,
All right.
I am.
That's pretty amazing because I
Yeah.
mean honestly, Albuquerque has got a huge slam poetry
Yeah.
community. I mean it really has a great life to it. So Mercedes, how did you get involved in slam poetry?
Well, I was actually sitting in the auditorium of my school, and because Albuquerque does have such a rich poetry slam culture, some of Albuquerque's most renowned poets came and did a show for my high school, and I'd have always wrote poetry, but I never knew that it was poetry until I saw these poets up there, you know, speaking on stories and issues, and I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so I went to a poetry slam and I fell in love with it, and I've been involved ever since.
Man, that's cool. Now, what does it mean to be a Women of the World representative?
Well, this is not just your average coffee shop monthly slam. This is 72 of the world's most fierce female poets coming to represent not only themselves but their cities as well. It's like the Olympics almost. Is you're not just representing yourself, you're representing where you come from. And to be the Albuquerque rep is just an honor, and it's amazing. And I really want to make my city proud. So.
Yeah, well, I'm
super
sure you
excited.
will. I mean, and it is very huge to have that honor because this is a huge thing for slam poetry, that this event is happening in the Duke City. So lots of stuff coming in. As you said, you were inspired by watching other poets. What are you looking forward to most in this? Is it seeing these other poets and having the sort of artistic exchange? Is it what is the most exciting thing about this for you?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say the most exciting thing I'm looking forward to is the new voices that are coming out for the first time to speak on a national or international level. A lot of the times there are super good poems, but they're hidden within the city limits of where they come
Right.
from. And this gives a chance for a lot of new voices to come out, and it gives them a platform to speak on the things that we wouldn't normally hear from the poets that come every year. So I'm excited to hear all the new voices, as well as participate in help running the youth slam that's going to be involved with WOW.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah, and this gives a chance for young ladies to come and slam, and the winner will get to read a poem on final stage at the Chemo Theater. And I think that's amazing because most of our stories come from that young age of adolescence, and these young ladies have those stories. So I'm excited for the youth slam as well.
So what are your poems about typically? Because I know that people write about, you know, the things that they go through and, you know, struggles that many people can share with them. So do you have something that you tend to stick with when you write, or do you just kind of write about everything, or just like your experiences?
I would say that it's everywhere. I think every poet kind of explores their options when it comes to content and topics, but I try to stick to what I know, and I think writing about what I know, it's coming straight from the heart. So I never try to write something for the audience. I always write for myself, and hopefully through that the audience can connect with me through my story. And I like to write about everything from culture to what it's like to be a woman, just the basic things.
Write what you know.
And
So
to be creative is the best part about it. So.
yeah, absolutely. And being able to vocalize that, I think, is great. Now, we're going to hear a performance after the break. What is the poetry? Can you give us a tidbit about what it's about that you're going to do for us after the break?
Sure. My poem, My Blood is Beautiful, is an identity piece. It's speaking on kind of how I fit within my own skin. And growing up in New Mexico, my mother is Mexican and my father is American. And there was always that border of where I stood. And was I more Mexican than American? Was I more American than Mexican? And having to always kind of choose and cross between those borders was an issue growing up for me because I never really fit in anywhere.
Sure.
So this poem is talking about that, and it's relating back to history when people of mixed races had to constantly cross those borders, and how that systematically has evolved through the years, and we're still facing it now. I'm still going through it now, and it happened centuries ago. So it's just a poem about mixed identity, mixed race, and
Yeah.
how I fit through that.
Great. Well, I can't wait to hear it. We're going to hear
Yeah.
that on the other side of this break. Again, guys, for more information on Women of the World Poetry Slam, head over to casa.com. We will have all the links there. We'll stick around. Before the break, we sat down with a young woman who was having her voice heard as part of the Women of the World Poetry Slam.
That's right, and we have her performing for us right now in the Two Casa Style Loft. Ladies and gentlemen, Mercedes Holtry.
The old man from the coffee shop asks for my name. I write Mercedes Holtry on a piece of paper. He stares at it. Holtry, huh? If you're Chicana, how did you end up with the German last name? Ah, you must be a coyote, a child of mixed blood. What he means to assume is you must be a mutt, mongrel, vagabond, impure, messy, complicated, messed up, a monstrosity. You're one of those people, huh? Your parents are two opposite flavors and swirled you into existence. You're all Spanish accent and light skin, all long dark hair and freckles too. Ghetto for AP placement, not brown enough to be called Mexican. You were that kid, I bet. Always having to prove your split tongue, always having to hear whispers about the skin you're in, the assumptions about where your blood comes from. Mocosa, the brown girls would say. She thinks she's all that because she's half white. Talking smack in Spanish as if my grandmother never taught me how to cuss in our native tongue. Answering questions like, you know Spanish? Are you Spanish? What about Hispanic? You kind of look Latina. There's no way you're Mexican. You look white to me. If you're white, why do you pretend to be brown? You know Mexican's not a race, right? What's your mom? Your dad's from Mexico eventually. The questions and assumptions write themselves into a history lesson. My blood is the story of 9 million Americans who, like me, check the other box on the census. I am the walking definition of rape, kill, and conquer, birth from oppress and oppressor. I am Aztec indigenous woman and Spanish conquistador. My ancestors were the ones mistaken for white gods and also the ones enslaved into patriarchy. I in part recognize your privilege and never forget your struggle part. Mexican mother and American father part, traceable to the root and part accepting the unknown. In the 17th century, the system of castas was based on the accepted knowledge that the character and quality of people varied according to their birth, race, color, and origin of ethnic types, and soon every name they call you only places you back on the list of social stratification. Mestizo, castizo, Spaniard, mulatto, morisco, albino, torne atrás, lobo, cambujo, albarazado, barcino, coyote, chamizo, coyote, mestizo, ahí te estás. They all translate to mixed blood. Blood that is not pure. You are not pure, the old man tells me with his face. America loves pure, and you are messy, different, disordered, brewed, kneaded, and fused together. I nod my head proudly as if to say, yes, I am a walking history lesson, proof that we all come from the same tree, but eventually outgrow our roots. So yeah, I'm a mix of things, but what I am not is an identity crisis, some kind of chemistry experiment, America's ignorant assumptions about who I am, what I feel, how I act. My character belongs to me, my identity belongs to me, my blood belongs to me, and I'll be damned if anyone calls my blood anything but beautiful.
That was awesome.
Mercedes Holtry, guys. Women of